guys, welcome back to Mindset Matters. This episode is produced by Mindset Media and brought to you by the Empowerment Through Mindset Foundation. Cue the intro. Welcome back, guys. We have with us a special guest today. We have Crystal Armstrong. So Crystal is the coordinator for the student engagement at Dallas College. She is also an advisor for the space program at Dallas College El Centro. She is a co-sponsor for the Sister to Sister mentorship program, and she's also a business owner. So she owns a company called Captivating Creations by Crystal. So we're excited to talk about all of the things that you're doing and are involved in. But before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about your experience growing up. So tell me about where you're from and how your experience in life has made you who you are today.
I'm Dallas, Texas, born and raised. Growing up, I actually did not grow up in a two-parent household, but my mom and my dad co-parented very, very well. And I think that had a huge impact on who I am today and how I treat others. Because I think, in my opinion, I had the best of both worlds. My mom taught me how to be strong and independent and stand on my own 2 feet. And pretty much my dad taught me how to think like a man and how to be treated and respected like one.
Okay.
And I actually ended up getting my very first job at the age of 14. And in the state of Texas, that's not legal to work, so I had to go through the government. I had to get permission to go, and I used to walk back and forth every day to work. Something you probably don't even know about me, I'm actually a high school dropout.
Really?
Right,
That
yes.
is surprising.
Yes, as long as you know me, you didn't know that. Yes, I'm actually a high school dropout. That's why I'm almost like one of the perfect examples to no matter what happens to you in life, you can pick yourself up and keep doing whatever it is you want to do. I dropped out of high school on my senior year, actually, which is horrible. I missed all the dances and, ruling the school, all the good part of it. But and it was because I got pregnant at the age of 17. I ended up having my daughter at 18. And long story short, I eventually went back to school at the age of 21 and walked the regular high school halls and graduated with a high school diploma and not the GED. So I actually have my high school diploma. Okay. And then when I got that is when I started to go to Dallas College. And I went to Dallas College and I received my associate's degree. And everybody around me was like, that's not it. You're not done. You're not done. So I ended up at UTA working on my bachelor's, which I did not finish because, life be lifing. But I am in the process of starting that back up so that I can receive that and better my future. Because people think that the degrees, the paperwork don't really matter. But in my opinion, they get you through the door. And once you're in there, you can show everybody else your ability of what you have.
That's an interesting perspective here. No, that's smart because it's true. There's certain tables you can't sit at unless you have a certain type of degree.
Absolutely.
And we know in education, in the industry, there's a lot of elitism where, like, if you don't have a PhD, you can't talk to. And it's just interesting. So It is nice to be able to cut through that, and say like, hey, I got the paper.
Yes.
Right now, let's talk about
and
whatever
more
it
money
is.
comes with it too. So
okay.
Yeah.
So I do have a question since I did not know that you were a high school dropout. I want to know what your thought process was. So you dropped out, and for a lot of people that can be a crushing moment where it's like, because you got so close, right? And you had to drop out.
Yes.
So what did you tell yourself, and how did you push yourself to be able to come back and eventually finish that goal?
It was hard. I'm not gonna lie. It was really, really hard, and it was even more devastatingly so because tried to go back and finish. And I enrolled in a special school for pregnant women, you know. And I did all my work. I was put on bed rest because of my doctor, and my pregnancy was a little hard. So I had to do it at home. And when I finally turned in my work to the school, my teacher had quit. And we had a new one, and she informed me that she had completely changed the curriculum and wasn't going to accept my work. So I gave up again. And I just went on with life, and I was like, well, I'm just going to get a job, because that's why you go to school, right, to get a job. So I figured I'd just skip that step. Right. But it wasn't shortly after getting into the job game that I realized education is very important. So I had to just give the strength. I prayed a lot. I thought about what was going to be best for my child in the end, and how I would want her to look at me and what I completed. And most importantly, support. Oh my goodness, support when you are going through things or trying to accomplish things is vital. So without my support, mainly my family and friends, I don't know what I would have done.
Man.
Yeah.
Anybody particularly you want to shout out?
Hey, Mom.
You gotta get it a watch.
Always my mom. Always my mom. Yeah, that's my rider. Yes, that's my rider.
And I think that's important, because like when I met you, the first thing that I saw about you was how powerful you are when it comes to making things happen.
Yes.
Like very, very resourceful. And so because that's my introduction to you, it's hard to imagine a time where you were not, you know, that. And so that's why I always like to ask about like the journey thought process wise.
Yeah.
So like for people who go through difficult things, what would you tell them about the way they should talk to themselves when it comes to, let's say they face a setback, like maybe they can't finish college, they have to take a break?
It can be disappointing. It can be heartbreaking. It can be hard, I'm going to be honest, but you just have to dig deep. You have to dig deep. I know I pray. I do a lot of crafting that relaxes me. Try to find something sometimes that takes your mind away from it, and then bring it back so you can come back with a fresh start. You know what I mean? That's the best thing that I can say to do. And just don't give up, and ignore the shouters and the doubters.
I'm gonna write that down. The shouters and the doubters.
The shouters and the doubters. Ignore the shouters and the doubters. Yeah.
And sometimes the biggest doubter is us, right? At times we can be our own biggest doubter.
Yes, and that's because a lot of the times we have a hard time seeing what other people see. It took a lot of other people telling me, you are smart. Telling me, you can do this. Are you kidding? You never thought about going further in your education? Right. You can do this. And it helped to empower me. And that's why it's so easy for you to take on the negative, because so much of it is going on. But it's just trying to focus on the positive. And like I said, those shadows and those doubters, tune them out. Yeah. Tune them out.
And I know for me personally in life, it took me a while, but early on, you know, I kind of learned that you can't identify with what happens to you. So like if sometimes things will happen to people and they will think that because I was not able to successfully accomplish this, that makes me a failure. Right. But really all it is an obstacle. It's something that you may not be able to do it the way you wanted to or in the time that you wanted to do it, but it's an opportunity for you to learn and grow and find another route to accomplishing it.
I agree with that, because I am a firm believer in what's meant for you will be for you. But that also means that anything that we want in life is going to come with hard work. Right. You have to work hard for it. I mean, we see all these celebrities and these famous people, but backtrack their story. You know, there was plenty times where they were booed off stage, or you know, they had things thrown at them on stage. Right. And take the lady, I can't think of her name, that wrote the Harry Potter.
J.K. Rowling.
Yes, yeah. She was kicked away many times. Many times. They hated the whole concept of Harry Potter. Now look at him. He in Disneyland, in Disney World, you know what I mean? And that's because even though she was told no so many times, somewhere out there is a yes. But the only way you're going to find it is to keep looking for it.
Yeah, I think her book got rejected 12 times.
A lot.
And to
Yeah.
imagine, and I remember growing up during the height of what I consider the height of the Harry Potter.
Yes.
Everybody was reading that book. And
Yeah.
I didn't read it at first just because everybody else was. Like, I'm like, nah, I'm not going to join the bandwagon.
Right.
Later on, I did end up reading it.
It's a
And
good book.
I can see why people rallied around it like that.
Yeah.
But it's just, it goes to show you. I know Bill Gates dropped out of college to become who he is today.
Right.
Right. So Steve Jobs never went to college. So.
Because sometimes, though, although hard work is important, but I'm not going to lie to y'all. Sometimes it's not what you know. Sometimes it's who you know.
Right.
Yeah. And that's why relationships are also important in life. Building relationships with all types of people from the bottom to the top, because you never know who you're going to need. Right. You never know what predicament you're going to be in. And you never know if that person that was once here will end up here. And you need help. So don't mistreat other people because you feel like they're beneath you, because one day you may need somebody too.
Right. And I think there's, like you said, who you know is important. So I always kind of break it up. Like, there's who you know, which is a lot of times more important, but what you know is equally as important too, because like who you know may get you in the room.
Yes.
But like, you still have to know your stuff to be able to perform in those moments when you need to show people what you know. And then like, when you get there, it's what keeps you there.
Absolutely. In my opinion, a great leader comes from both ends of those. You have to have both. You know, you can understand policies and procedures, but if you don't know how to approach a certain person about a policy and procedure, you could easily get rejected. Yeah. So relationships are very important. What you know and who you know, can make you a good leader and a great entrepreneur.
Yeah. One of my favorite expressions is, don't let your talent take you somewhere your character can't keep you. and it's true, because
we could be here all day talking about that one.
Because sometimes, because there's some things that'll put you where you want to be, right? But if you don't do the work to stay there, like, it could be an attitude problem. Maybe you can't deal with people effectively, and that'll take you out. Yeah. It could be that you're great with people, but that you haven't put in the work to know what you need to know.
Exactly.
And then that'll take you out. So whatever it is that happens to be your talent, don't rely specifically on that.
Absolutely.
Like, always develop the other side of it.
Yes.
So that you don't end up, getting taken out because of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Absolutely. I agree.
But and what's inspiring about your story is the fact that it's unlikely when a person meets you today that they would assume that you had to go through something like what you went through. And so I just think,
and I love that. I love that. I love not looking like what I've been through. That in itself is an accomplishment for me. You know what I mean? When I first started at Dallas College, I used to get asked all the time to do speeches about that, and they would be surprised to hear my story. But yes, so anybody can do it.
And that's amazing to know, and to also just to remember that there's people around you, and you'd be surprised who it is that's maybe sitting right next to you that has been through something similar to what you have, and just tap into that knowledge and that resource of information so you can get perspective. But one of my favorite things about you is your authenticity. Like, you will not, like, you
I think I get that a lot.
Yeah.
I get that a lot. Yeah.
And authenticity is the politically correct way of saying it. So tell me, like, how much of that, where did you learn to be like that?
My parents, my mom definitely doesn't hold any punches. She's definitely say it how it is. She don't even put a little sugar on top. You know what I mean? And my dad, he was more of the smooth talker. Okay. You know what I mean? So when you put those together,
that makes sense. Yeah,
I was about to say, when you put those together, it gives me the ability to say what I want to say, but still slide on by it. Yeah.
Sometimes it's like you won't realize till after. We're like, wait a second.
Did she just?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, That's the right way to do it, by the way.
Yeah. And that's power, because like, you're already gone, and they're still thinking about
they're confused.
They're like, huh.
I love it.
Yeah, that's
catch up. Gotta be quicker than that.
Yeah. As long as you use your powers for good and not evil, then that's important. That helps people around you. I want to talk about your professional background. So let's talk, because you said you were a student. You were a student at Dallas College, right? So what made you choose Dallas College?
I'm not gonna lie, the convenience of it.
Okay.
I am 42 now. I'm not gonna do the math and tell you how old I was back then. But you know, married woman raising 6 kids, so it was the convenience of it. I had been a housewife and mom for a few years.
Okay.
And I honestly was starting to lose myself. I was so caught up in being the chauffeur and the cook and all of these things that Crystal had disappeared. So I went on a journey. I didn't know where I was going, but I just knew I needed to get in the car and start driving. Sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes you just need a push so you won't stay stagnant. And I ended up at Dallas College, and I was a student. And then I applied for a work study in the disability office, which I got. And then after I graduated, they ended up keeping me part-time. And then I went full-time. And that brings me to where I am now as the coordinator for student engagement.
Okay. So what drew you to that role?
The coordinator?
Yeah, for student engagement.
Somebody asked me.
Okay.
No, I'm just sometimes when you're just working hard and living life, sometimes opportunities come to find you. And this one did. I actually went to I am currently vice president of the Professional Support Staff Association for the Cedar Valley College.
Okay.
And the president couldn't make it to one of their meetings, so I had to sit in. And I ended up meeting a young lady at the meeting, and at the end, she was like, you know, like you, I love your authenticity. I love your attitude, your energy. Have you ever thought about working for the Office of Student Life? Actually, yeah, you know, I have. I'm going to give somebody your name. You know how people say that all the time. So I was just like, okay. But I ended up going on vacation. And I got an offer, a soft offer for that job while I was on vacation. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
That was a good vacation. Productive.
Yes, I was on vacation and received a job and a $17,000 a year raise while on vacation. A friend actually told me, sounds like you should probably take more vacations.
Right. Yeah, that might be the answer.
Right. So, yes, I kind of lucked up on that. Luckily, everything matched up. You know, I had the right degree because I had my associates and I had all the qualifications. So, yeah. And believe it or not, that's how I ended up with this position.
Man, that's awesome.
Isn't it?
Yeah, because you would think that'd be a position you'd have to go through an interview process for,
Yeah.
like you'd have to apply for and go through multiple stages. But
I mean, I had to go through those stages, but it was all based on word of mouth.
Got you.
And my reputation. This is
Okay.
why reputations are so important. You know what I mean? She just went and talked to him, and he's like, okay. Now, we had a couple of conversations before he did it, so I guess you could say they were mini interviews. Like, hey, do you have this degree? Hey, have you ever worked with these programs at Dallas College? Hey, and I'm just checking all the boxes. So, yeah, and this is why another thing, if you have opportunities to take trainings, especially free ones, take them. Take them, especially if they're in the field of where you want to be or something that interests you, because that's another way I got the job, because I've had all these trainings, so that were never actually a part of any job I was doing. But when somebody said, hey, you want to be trained? I sure do. Hey, would you like to know this? I sure do. And so when he asked, yes, I have. Yes, I can do that. Yes, I can do that.
You
yes,
didn't
I
even
can.
know you were qualifying yourself.
Oh, man. And that is definitely an ego booster.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome. So tell me a little bit about student engagement, because when I first dealt with student life, I did not realize that it was student life. Like, it's student life and engagement. I always say student life. So tell me what the difference is between student life and engagement.
Okay, so technically there shouldn't be a difference. They kind of separated us, which, you know, we're trying to bring that back together. But basically on the student life side, they basically do like the student leadership institutes. They're on the club, run all the clubs that are associated with Dallas College. And then you have us on the engagement side, where we're mostly like the events and social things that are going on the campus. So they kind of run hand in hand, but yeah, separate at the same time, which is crazy when I say it out loud. But yeah.
Yeah, because I remember when I first realized that they were not the same.
Right.
Because I thought that you were, like, I thought there were 3 student life advisors, And so I figured out that I'm like, okay, one is life, one is engagement.
Right.
And then you have another person who helps with like the SLI programs and stuff.
Yeah, but that person is also life.
They're also, so there's
Yes.
2 life and 1 engagement.
Yes, it all depends on the campus you're in.
Gotcha.
So, there
Okay.
might be 2 engagement on this one and 1 life on this one. But
Right. Okay.
yeah,
But those are the 2 categories.
those are the 2 categories. Yes.
Okay. So what do you enjoy most about student engagement?
Being student facing. I love people. I love giving off my energy. I love helping the kids. I love bringing fun to it. I love it when people come up to me and say, so what you doing today? What's your event about today? You know, when they see me decorating. So I just like getting my hands dirty and getting with the people and finding out what they like and what they would like to see accomplished or what they would like to see more of on the campus that they're attending, almost probably on a daily basis.
Yeah, and I can attest to like the energy you bring to places because I remember when I first was working with SGA, you were the co-advisor for SGA.
Yes.
And so you brought like a lot of fun and life to being in those meetings.
I did. I tried to.
Which it's like, now that I'm saying a lot, like bringing life to student life and bringing
Yes.
engagement to student engagement. But it's true. It's that's important.
Yes, because, I mean, hard work is, of course, important. Getting the job done is important. Getting the job done in a timely fashion is important. But you also have to take a second to enjoy what you do. I was given some information from a lady that worked at Dallas College at me some years ago, and she said, you have to learn to celebrate the small accomplishments. So, for instance, if I was taking a class and it was frustrating, and I'm just allowing myself to be frustrated all semester until it's done.
Right.
But after that advice, I learned that, hey, I've got this huge midterm coming up. Guess what? I got a B, I got an A. Let me go celebrate that. Let me take time out to celebrate that, because that's no different than putting the charger in your phone. You know what I mean? Sometimes we push ourselves so hard that we're so drained, and that too can cause depression. That too can cause you to beat up on yourself because now you're tired and you don't want to do it and you don't care.
Right.
But that's why you have to take a break. I mean, when you think about it, everything has to be charged. You can't drive a car without gas. You can't use your phone without charging it. You got your laptop on a charger right now.
Yeah.
You probably have to charge these when we're done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So everything has to be charged, and as humans, so do we.
That's important.
Very
Yeah,
important.
That's important. I think you know where I'm going to go with this. But
Let's go.
So how do you deal with because people are constantly, when they see people who have high energy, people tend to you're already laughing. People tend to want to plug into that, and the reason why I always use that analogy, I know I say it a lot to you, but it's true.
It is.
It's true. How do you balance deciding who you're going to allow to have access to that type of energy, so that you don't get burnt out from all of the requests for?
Okay, so here's the thing. My secret to that. I don't choose who gets it. I choose how much each person gets, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
So I could have a student that comes in and is very distraught and needs to talk. That's all my energy. I could have a coworker come in and they're having a bad day and, they're on 10, they want to talk to me. They get my energy. I could have somebody coming in and they have a whole attitude about something. Their ID didn't go right or some kind of complaint, and I don't give them my energy. I let them talk and I let them get it all out, and when they're done, then I will continue to help them. So in my opinion, it's not who you give it to, it's how much of it that you disperse. And then I also had to learn to cut it off. There are some days where don't come in here.
Right.
I just don't have it to give.
Right.
And those are just the days where I'm honest about it. To tell you the truth, hey, today's not a good day.
Right.
It's a bad day. And like you said, with everybody used to me always being so high energy, they know those days.
Yeah.
So they just leave it alone. They just leave it alone. And you just have to be vocal about yourself, and also just always remember to consider yourself in every situation, and you'll be okay.
Yeah, and that's important, because I want our audience to know that it's okay for you to have days where you don't have it, and it's especially coming from somebody who has so much of it, to give. It's okay to have those days. You don't have to feel bad because you don't have it today.
No.
Just understand, like you said, it's just part of that cycle of taking care of yourself.
I mean, in my opinion, and according to some medications, if you don't have a down moment sometimes when you don't have it, you're just constantly going and going, that's not a good thing. That would definitely tire you out. That will start to affect your health.
Right.
And then that would start to affect your attitude, and then that would start to affect how you treat other people, and then that's going to start to affect how people start treating you, and it's just a downward spiral, and then you end up in this dark rabbit hole.
Yeah, you
don't know how to get out of it. So it's just best to, when you start to see a little bit of darkness, just take a minute. I mean, whatever you do, I don't know, go play basketball, go jog, whatever it is that you do that release stress. One of my favorites, my husband and my son hate it. I put both my AirPods in, and I was singing loud all around the house and just let it out. So, yes, there's absolutely nothing wrong with having bad days. Just try not to have too many in a row, and always remember to do your best to bounce back.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. Bounce back.
Bounce back.
Yeah, you don't always have to be the Energizer Bunny, but
you don't.
But you can bounce back when you know how to.
Because they lying, he died sometime too.
Yeah, that's probably true.
That battery is not everlasting.
Yeah,
that is not. Don't believe the hype.
When they cut the camera off, they gotta go plug them back in.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I want to talk next about because you've worked with student life as the co-advisor for SGA, but more recently, you are now serving as the advisor for space.
Yes.
And I know you've had a unique role in helping to bring space to life. So I want you to talk to people about what that was like, what drew you to it, what you were able to do to help make it.
Okay, so we rolled out space, in the fall of 2024. And SPACE is actually an acronym for Student Programs and Campus Engagement. And so what that focuses on is allowing the students to have more of a voice in what's happening around campus, or what they are involved in, or the things that they would like to see celebrated more. For instance, I know one campus, I believe it was Cedar Valley, did, don't quote me on the title, but it was something about how to build your own business or how to start your own business. And they were actually allowing the kids to decorate tumblers using the Cricut machine. And, if everybody don't know what that is, that's just another crafting machine that cuts out supplies so that they could decorate the tumblers. Okay. We have events that are viewed or focused towards certain holidays, certain events, particular things going on. I'm really trying to watch my words right now with everything going on. So, but yes, and not only that, it also gives the students the opportunity to be on the board. So SPACE also has a board like any other, and so they have to have the opportunity to be able to learn about leadership and how to get along with others, especially others that aren't like you, don't think like you, weren't raised like you. So in my opinion, I believe that's an amazing experience for them. And they do everything from planning the events, coming up with the ideas for the events, creating their own flyers that we hang around the campus, the ordering of supplies, and of course, volunteering at those events to make sure that they go off. We actually had our huge lunch party, maybe I think back in, I want to say October or September, and it was amazing. We actually rented a huge LED dance floor, and we had little bars, but we were only serving tea. And so the kids were able to mingle. We had miniature golf. So I think it's an amazing way for the kids to be able to come together, learn different things about each other, and also learn how to be more accepting of those that weren't raised with the same type of views that you were. So yeah.
No, that's important to have that perspective.
Yes.
On life.
Mm-hmm.
So I think SPACE, I know I was there for one of the early training sessions, and I was able to watch you go through your presentation.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun. Just again getting to be able to dip my toes into
That's good. That's
that
good. We worked hard
experience.
on that. Yes.
Very colorful slide displays, and you know, just great information, great engagement, teaching students how to step into those leadership positions. And so, you know, again, I want to express my appreciation for the work you do,
Right.
because I've seen you in action, and I've benefited directly from some of the things that you've done. So
Yay!
yeah, your
That's what I
commitment,
like to hear.
yeah, your commitment to the student body at Dallas College is an example.
Thank you.
For people to follow.
Thank
So
you.
it's
Don't
always
make me cry.
right. It's always good to have professionals at Dallas College who take their job seriously and
Right.
who want to do the absolute best for the students. So I always try to shout that out when I see it. So,
Appreciate you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. So you said you wanted to be a part of there was a group of, you're going to run for president of the Support Staff Association. I'm trying to remember the name of it.
Okay, so like I said, currently I am the vice president of the Professional Support Staff Association for the Cedar Valley campus. Every campus has their own board. The acronym is PSSA.
Gotcha.
So every college has their own PSSA board. And so I was just recently asked to run for the presidency of El Centro, which if I make that, it will put me on the Professional Support Staff Executive Council. So yes, that should be, I think the old candidates will be rolling off by the summer.
Okay.
So I'll start to run bringing in the fall. So yeah,
Nice.
I'm looking forward to that. They're telling me I can do it. You know, once again, they're saying you can do it. Again, this is something that I did not consider. This is something that I didn't think I would be doing. But again, this is something that other people approach me, and I think you will be great. I think you will be great. And like I said, the support of others is amazing. And I guess that's why it's so easy to take the negative like we do, because it could be somebody that you love giving you the negativity. And that could be something that can be hard to fight. But if it's something that you want, if it's something that you believe in, I don't care who it is, you fight for what you want and you go for it, regardless. I mean, don't do anything illegal. But you fight, and it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down. Get back up and continue to do it. Like I said, I've gone from being pregnant at 17, high school dropout, to now coordinator of student engagement, space advisor, formerly co-advisor to Student Government Association, about to run for presidency. So it can be done. It can be done.
And that's just a testament of the power, you know, to the power of who you are.
Yes.
Right. And I think it's important for people to draw, you know, strength from their personal identity. You know, lean into who they are, be authentic like you are, and that's what people like see without knowing the story, without knowing all the details. A lot of times people connect with things like that that they're not consciously aware of. But
Yeah. Well, the first thing that you have to do is love yourself. And what I mean by that, you know, people say, I do love myself. I love myself. I mean, you have to completely love yourself. For instance, I love skulls, like the sugar skulls and everything. I collect them.
Right.
So my husband swears, oh, that's the dark side. That's the dark side. And I'm like, but I'm embracing it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by embracing every part of you, even the ugly, the dirty, the things about you that have been tainted, you know, the harsh childhood, the rejections. Accept all of that and deal with it and move on. And be okay with who you are. Be okay with the fact that you've made mistakes. Be okay with the fact that everybody's not going to love you. Be okay with the fact that everybody is not going to think that what you feel and what you do is appropriate. And once you start to do that, you'll be like me. It'll be authentic, because I don't care. I don't care. Yes, been there, done that. You know, had to pull myself up, had to roll in the mud. You know what I mean? I've been there, done that. So you can't affect me. I love me. So
and you've gotten a taste of what you're capable of, and so now that you know what you're like capable of, no one can tell you otherwise.
Not just what I'm capable of, but sometimes you have to be appreciative of that downfall. And I know that's awkward to hear, but sometimes when you're taken so low, that's usually somewhere you can never go again. Or if for whatever reason you end up there, now you know how to get out of it. So accept those downfalls and those mistakes and those rejections and find a way to learn from them and be better, because there's always a positive to the negative. I mean, that's just science and we can't fight that.
Yeah. And if you can make a negative, you turn a negative into a
Absolutely.
positive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it's a journey to get there. It is. But
with speed bumps and roadblocks and pitchforks, but it's okay. It's okay.
But it's worth it.
It's absolutely worth it. I am genuinely happy and where I am, who I've been, what I've been through, and excited about where I'm going.
I'm excited too. I'm very excited as well. So I want to talk because you're also an entrepreneur. So you're actually a business owner for it. It's called Captivating Creations by Crystal.
Yes.
So tell me what made you decide to start doing that.
That's also something that accidentally happened. So I found out a few years ago that I'm really good at event planning. So every birthday I would have like a girls' night in, and that's where I would invite a few of my friends and cousins, all women, and we would get together and we play games, and there's always some kind of woman empowerment thing, and I'm always extra. Like one year I gave every woman at the party a wine glass with her name engraved on it, or so they started saying, oh, this is nice, look at your decoration, you should start doing this. And so that's what I did, and that's why we are now. That's really another of the reasons why I got this position, because that was one of the questions he asked me, are you good with events and planning? Because when people go to events, all they see is, oh, it's pretty, oh, it's not pretty, or the colors or the decorations, but there is a lot of footwork that goes behind planning that. You see an event that could last 2 hours that I could have been working on for 6 months. And so it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of discipline, and also that's another place where relationships comes in, because I need all hands on deck. Right. I need people that's gonna move my tables. I need people that's gonna approve the rooms that I get. So yes, so really, that's how I got into it. Just kind of fell in my lap. I realized that I had a talent. Yeah. And you can also start there. If you have a talent that you have, see how far you can go with it. You can turn anything, especially this day and age, into a career.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's the powerful thing about entrepreneurship is it's a mindset shift. Once you realize that you can build a business around the things you're passionate about.
Right.
Then
and Texas is a great state to start your, to be an entrepreneur, because, the laws and stuff are totally behind us on that type of thing. So, yeah.
And I love entrepreneurship because to speak to what you're saying, because you talked about planning, when you're planning an event, like there's so many details that go into making that happen. That's also true in any sector, like in business in general.
Yeah.
People look at the result of things and they don't always realize how much work is put into it. So like, I think it's important for people to know, like, you have to gear your mind up for it. There's going to be work involved to setting up a business. You can do it, but there's a lot of work that goes into planning what you want to do, how you want to do it, what relationships you want to build in the process of moving towards executing on things.
It's a lot of work.
Like just moving parts and details.
It's a lot of them.
So how do you keep track of everything that has to be? So you're putting together an event, use an example like that. How do you keep track of all the details that you have to be aware of?
I'm an old-fashioned girl, so I still like to write my stuff.
Okay.
So I think nowadays, there's a lot of systems in place, but I still like to kind of write my things down and see it solidly in paper, written down. So that's pretty much. And I start off with a checklist. Everything I think about how it's going to be, what my theme is, what needs to be done, everything I'm going to do. Then I start that checklist. And then I have to go back to that checklist and start to break that checklist down. Now, I know the checklist says food, but now I need to know what kind of food and what's my budget on food and where I'm getting this food from.
Right.
And I know it says I need to find a location. Now to find a location, now I need to know how big it is, what can fit in it. You know what I mean? Does it come with tables and chairs? How many tables and chairs I need?
Right.
So yeah, there's a lot behind it. The best thing I can say is stay organized. Very, very important. As long as you're organized, and what I mean by that is if you're looking for something, you know exactly where it is and you know exactly where to go get it. Because you really don't ever know how much time you have to find something or put something together or switch something up real quick to make something happen. As an entrepreneur, you have to always be ready for anything and everything because it all falls on you.
Yeah, and it's like it's a blessing.
And a curse.
And a curse, yeah.
Like my energy.
Exactly, yeah. It's like a double-edged sword because you gotta be prepared for it.
Gotta balance.
It feels great when everything is like when you're on it, you know. But the minute you miss something, like you feel that too. And so it's I like it because it's a different level of accountability. It's
a big one.
Yeah, but it teaches you how to be accountable, and that'll make you a better person for life.
Absolutely, and that's another place where you can put in celebrating those small victories. If your state paperwork went through, celebrate that. You know, don't keep pushing. Okay, that's done. Let me go see what I need to do next. You know, that works your nerves. You haven't had a chance to breathe. So, oh God, I got the paperwork. Yes, you know, take a minute to. I did good. That was because that took a lot of work. I had to find all the documents, and you know, celebrate that, and then move on to the next one.
That's something I need to hear.
Yeah,
is just take the taking moments because I tend to not do that.
Because when you do that, it makes whatever level you have achieved seem not so bad. Because you start to appreciate, oh, I did do this, instead of being at that level and saying, okay, I've done all this and I'm still not there. You know, you see how different that feels?
Yeah.
I've done all this and I'm still not there. Instead of, I'm here, but whoo, I did this, I did this, what's next?
And I think that's I can speak to the opposite side of that because I spent so much of my life was doing the opposite, what you were saying, where it's like, man, okay, I'm still not there, right? So I'll push myself to exhaustion, and then it's like I'll accomplish something, but I won't take a moment to enjoy it. And then I'm like, okay, it's on to the next thing. Yeah, so it builds up, and there are times where I just, you know, I have to take time to reset because I've allowed myself to be, you know, pushed to that point.
I was watching a movie once, and the guy told his daughter, because they had a lot of problems going on, and they didn't know where, you know, when you have so much going on, you don't know where to start. You don't know, you know, where to begin. And it was so simple, but he said, you solve the problem in front of you, and then do the next one. And it's just as simple as that. I don't know, I can't speak for everybody, but for myself, I have a bad habit of trying to have my hands in 10 buckets at one time. Because I know I need to do this, and I need to do this, and I need to do this. And it took me a minute to find out that sometimes you have to bring yourself back down and focus on one thing, accomplish that, get that done, and then move on to the next. It's very, very simple, but you wouldn't believe how much better things feel when you accomplish them. Like, okay, I did that, what's the next thing? Instead of, okay, I did that, then you go over here and do, okay, so what was I doing over here?
Right.
You know what I mean? And now everything is disheveled, and now you're anxious, and you're nervous, and there goes that rabbit hole.
Yeah,
there goes that rabbit hole.
The challenge for you is because you can actually put your hands in more than one bucket, and so like because you're capable of doing it, sometimes you might just decide to push yourself farther than you should.
Sometimes, yeah, and then that could also backfire. So multitasking is a beautiful thing, but again, you just have to know your limit. You know what I'm saying? Don't over push yourself. If you start to feel too much anxiety, then take your hand out of one of those buckets. You know what I mean? You don't have to have them all at the same time. But yes, you're right. Multitasking is important, but not to the point where it should be overwhelming. Because once you're overwhelmed, you're not thinking right. You're not thinking anyway. Now your mind is all over the place and nothing makes sense. And there goes that rabbit hole.
That rabbit hole. And it's true, and you have to be honest and know yourself too. Because some people, like for me, I am not I'm a one at a time type of person. So I'll take on a lot, but I'm still going to do it one thing at a time. And sometimes I have to remind myself, we'll just take on less and still do the one thing at a time. The challenge for people who are capable of doing more than one thing at a time is it's like the procrastination thing, you know, because you know you can write the paper
Yeah.
in an afternoon, you
Yeah.
decide to give yourself an afternoon to do it. So it just kind of being honest and accountable with yourself about exactly what you're capable of, when and where you're going to push yourself to do or allow yourself to do certain things. So,
and that's very important in entrepreneurship too, because your business starts to take off and now you have employees. You have to learn how to delegate. Yeah, and that's hard to do. Ooh, especially for me. I'm not gonna lie. I am
because everything has to be just right.
Oh my God! I still feel like if I don't do it,
it won't be
it's
done
not gonna
right.
be done right. So that's something that I am still learning and working on. The delegating, trying to. I'm taking it a step at a time. So even though I'm not hovering or saying, you can do it, let me do it. Now I'm just kind of checking in, how's it going? What does it look like? So eventually I get to the point where I'm just like, hey, you know what you need to do. You know what you need to do. You know what you need to do.
Yeah. And then just like for me, sometimes I have to remind myself that if it's not perfect, it's not going to be the end of the world if that provides a learning opportunity for the person who's doing it, because like sometimes people need to have the space to grow into what they do, so there's that margin of error that you have to allow for. There's some things you can't, like some things have to be right.
Yes. In my opinion, there's no such thing as perfect. You know what I mean? There's no such thing as perfect except for the 100% perfect score that you got on your schoolwork or your test, but nothing is perfect, because if things are perfect, then like you said, how do you grow?
Right.
How do you fix it? You mean to tell me that nothing went wrong? Absolutely nothing went wrong. And on top of that, there was absolutely nothing that you could have done better.
Right.
I don't believe in perfect.
Yeah. So you have to like allow people to grow. That's something I've had to learn too over time, is just making it a safe space for people to grow into. And so there's some mistakes that will come with being new, and you just have to
absolutely
like
growing pains.
Yeah. And like you as a leader can account for that in your process. Like, okay, I'm going to make room for the mistakes that I know are common with newcomers.
Yeah.
So I know typically this gets missed, that gets missed. So I'll prepare, in advance for, what that might look like, or just let the person learn from it. I'm going to allow this thing to unfold how it is. And I'm going to sit down and help them to appreciate where they can grow once that happens. So,
that's true, and I also want people to understand that even it doesn't matter how prepared you are, sometimes things just go wrong. So if and when that happens, don't let that deter you either, because that can be a blow. When you feel like, okay, I've got it all. I've got A's, B if A doesn't work. I got C if B doesn't work, and then Z comes. And you're like, oh, wow. And then now you're feeling some type of way. But it doesn't matter how prepared you are. Things can still come up. So you have to learn to, our favorite word at Dallas College is pivot. You know what I mean? You have to be prepared, leave that one foot down and still be able to turn that other leg.
Yeah,
so,
be flexible.
Yes.
And I think that reminds me of something my mother would always tell me. She said, because you talk about A through Z. So she's like, okay, well, you can prepare for A through Z. But sometimes it switches up on you. Now it's numbers, right? And so it's like, well, I got A through Z, and it's like, well, we're not doing letters. It's now it's numbers. And so whenever I'd see stuff, I'd always say that to myself, just like, okay, now it's numbers. So, and there are an unlimited amount of numbers. Right. That was what she was trying to tell me, is that numbers, there is no cap for it. So you're not playing a letter game. Right. It's a numbers game, and so. Like, you prepare for what you can.
That's
you
it.
Control what you can control.
That's it.
And then just allow things to unfold as they do, and learn and grow from them.
Absolutely.
So I think that's something.
Sums it up.
Sometimes we got to learn that the hard way, but
and it's not an easy lesson to learn either.
No.
And it takes time.
Yeah, especially for people who are like perfectionists. It's like you talk about perfection doesn't exist, but you have people out there who are perfectionists
and that's why they be driving themselves crazy.
Yep. All right, so we're gonna have to wrap up here soon, but I do want to ask you two more questions. So the first one is, what parting words of advice do you have for new entrepreneurs? What would you tell them?
Of course, don't give up, and the most important thing is resources. People sleep on resources a lot. You wouldn't believe how many resources are available to people and the things that you could be able to receive if you just reach out. So tap into resources and reach out to those that may be in the same field or have been, and talk to them about some of the things that they had to overcome and some of the obstacles that came their way so that you can be prepared for those. Of course, the shouters and the doubters don't matter. Know your support system, and by that I mean know the ones you know that are really there for you, the ones that have always been around, the ones that want you to benefit and do right in life. Those are your true supporters. Those are the people that are going to always want you to be better and do better, even though some of the things they say to you you may not like. But as long as it's not something that hinders or hurts you, then look at them as somebody that supports you and want to do better. And just don't give up. Keep trying. And when you get into those dark places, try to find something in you to bring back that light, to find your way out of that rabbit hole.
I like that. That's powerful. So what is next for you?
Like I said, I'm running for presidency of the Professional Support Executive Council. I am looking into finishing my bachelor's, and I'm really considering taking it all the way to my master's and see what I could do and how far I could take this, possibly in the Dallas College field. Because like you said, between my energy and the connections and the relationships I'm making, and then I add that paperwork, I mean, the sky's the limit, and I am truly excited. I can't even tell you how excited I am. I'm 42 years old, so that goes to tell you, you can do it at any age. You can become whoever you want to. Don't let anybody tell you your age is a problem or where you grew up is a problem. If you want to do it, you can find a way to get it done. So yes, I'm excited. I'm so excited. I'm finally at peace. Yeah.
I'm excited too. I'm excited too. It's nice to see that excitement and to tap into it. So this has been a lot of fun as always. It's always a lot of fun with you. So
I try.
Thank you for coming. We do appreciate your time. If you found this episode to be useful, please like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and always remember, mindset matters only for the hard work.